Ladies and creatures and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestling Diaries. This is the podcast show for the average Joe. And I'm your host, Mitchell Roulane. Check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all the other platforms that host podcasts. Also, check out the video cast on YouTube. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on when we release. We release usually twice a week, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So check us out. I have a really cool guest on today, which is the second parent of a previous guest I've had on. So woohoo for that. Miss Lisa Brister.
Thank you.
Wish I had maracas right now, so check them. What's up, Lisa?
Oh, not a lot. All of a sudden, I got a little more nervous.
You got nervous? Well,
Yes.
It's okay. I'll make this
So
very
lights,
awkward
camera,
for you.
action. Oh, crap. What do I say?
I'll just make this whole thing just super awkward for you, and then that's how the
thanks.
show will go.
Yes, okay.
All your friends and family
They're
will
like,
see how awkward.
how
things
very
can get.
awkward I can be.
So to tell people a little bit about you, first of all, your son, Andrew Bullion, did I say that right? Bullion,
Bullion,
like
yeah.
the coins. He was on here. And so now you're on here. Got anything to say to your little boy?
I adore him.
At least somebody does. Jeez, this guy's just all over. I'm kidding.
Oh, yes. We have been through a lot together.
So did you, when Andrew was on here, did you actually watch or listen to the show that he was on? What did you think about it?
I cringed a couple of times.
What? So hold on. What'd you cringe at? What was cringy?
I think y'all were talking about like all the alcohol.
He was talking about it. I was listening.
I was like, oh god, and I don't remember. I don't remember the other thing. I was like, but it's like whatever. It didn't matter.
Well, we like to use this platform to let people be as honest as they would like to. Like try not to limit anybody's speech about things. But I think he was talking about like the alcohol stuff, but it was also just like. I think that kind of went under the lines of the things that he was wrestling with.
Yes, right? Exactly. And I was fine with it. I'm used to him, so it's okay.
What else? What did the other people in the family say about it? Or the show? Did they like it? I think he was a star.
Yeah, I guess so. And Jake and Abby kind of watched it, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool." And yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. So, Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? What turns you on? What's your thing?
Right now, I am teaching. I've always been a big. I love children, and of course, I have 7 kids, so I really do love children.
Yowzers.
Yes, and I've been a teacher for a while, and I teach online to children in China. I teach them English.
So, how did you get involved with something like that? How's that look?
Well, a couple of years ago, a friend of mine kept posting on Facebook about it. And I was like, that just looks really interesting. And of course, I've been a stay-at-home mom and I homeschool my 2 children. Yeah, I'm so boring. I just realized how boring
No, you're
this
not.
is.
You're
It's like
definitely
I
not
watched
boring.
some of your other podcasts and I'm like,
No, don't worry about it. Those are
goodness.
all actors. They're paid actors. None of them was real. None of it. Even the people from other countries,
Okay,
it's just Americans
let me
here
think of
with
something
accents.
like really super exciting, like the last time I went skydiving or something like that.
No,
I'm like,
I want to
no.
hear. The host, want to hear about how, and why you teach Chinese kids English. Like, how does somebody do that?
Again, my friend had, she was posting about it. I'm like, that's just too good to be true to actually get paid to sit there and teach. And I contacted her about it, and she was like, yeah, here's how you do it. And within a month, I was teaching, and I've been doing it a little over a year now.
Okay, so it's like some kind of education program that you get into?
Yes, it is. It's called Palfish, and that's who I work for, or I contract with. I'm an independent contractor, so I don't work for them. And they're a company based in China. There's actually a lot of companies that do it. Palfish, I think, I personally feel like it's one of the better companies. So I really enjoy it. And I have a pretty full schedule. I get up at like sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. I got up this morning at 4:30 and I taught. Usually I just teach 3 kids on Saturday, but one of my kids canceled because there was something else going on. But
how long do you do it? Like through a weekday? Like how many hours do you work? And then how many days? Is it like regular school schedule?
I work as much as I want to in Chinese time. China time is different, obviously. Right now it is 1:15. It's 3:15 in the morning there. And so at 4:30 when I'm teaching, it's 6:30 p.m. there. So that's about when they all get home from school and they've had lunch or supper, and then they.
Okay, so this is like extra tutoring for them, right?
That's what it is.
Like,
It's for whatever reason, it's very important in China for them to speak English. Like it's very, very important.
It's funny you say that because I was in a business media school with a lot of people international, like people from everywhere, from just different, like Australia, Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and apparently, and I didn't know this, but a lot of countries it's like a mandatory thing that a lot of them have to learn English to do things, especially professionally. And I totally didn't know that because I was in the class with all these people from different countries and they all could speak English. And I was like, is this just like coincidental? And they're like, oh no, like English is very important, especially for international trade and business and, with, I don't know, just the internet blowing up and people working more online. And so they want you to be able to speak English or whatever.
And the culture there is so different because I know there's parents that really push their kids and they're involved in everything and they're, all these sports and they, the academic things, but it's like all of them are, it's like they come home, they go to school for forever, especially when they get into high school. They go to school for many, many hours. They take naps in the afternoons. They, they come home and they're like doing tennis or they're doing piano lessons or it's like there's always something that they're doing. And so some of the kids I teach 2 or 3 days a week.
Wow. Okay.
So, and it's 25 minutes.
So like what, is there a certain age range or I don't know how their grading system works over in China. Like how does that work? Is it just all ages?
It's all ages. I have a 3-year-old that's precious and then I have an 11-year-old and Palfish provides the curriculum for us. And so I don't have to, do my own anything. I just show up and read the material. Of course, I've done it enough to where I'm very familiar with the material and I have my own props and I act silly and crazy and stand on my head when I need to. And
nice. I had a girl that literally did that. Yeah. Stood on her head.
I'm not going to do that.
Oh, well, dang it. All right.
Sorry.
Well,
sorry to disappoint.
So do you have like a kind of a room or like a mini classroom set up?
Yes.
And you have like a computer and you do, is it through Zoom or Skype?
Well, a lot of the other companies use computers. I think Palfish may have been one of the first that used iPads. And I started off on my iPhone, but I upgraded to an iPad. So much better. But yeah, I have a little office. I have to have a backdrop, and I have to have the Palfish logo, and I have to wear a blue shirt. And there's certain things certain protocol I have to follow.
That's so interesting. Mm-hmm. It's such I don't know. Well, I knew of a guy who he actually moved to Japan to teach. I forget what grade it was, like 5th grade, 4th grade. He went there to teach these kids how to speak English. But he went over there and he came back and visit. And I remember talking to him and I was like, hey man, how's it? He's like, oh yeah, I really love it out there. Culture's really awesome. Everything's clean and healthy. He was like, one thing that will be really shocking for you to know is like, so I think he said the 4th or 5th graders have like the same education that like somebody in like 10th grade would have over here. Like they go to school 6 days a week and for like, I think, I don't know, over 8 hours or something, 10 hours, something like that.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, and he was just telling me about
it's very important.
Their education is very important and very grueling. And so, but him, and then you're like the only other person that I know personally that like teaches kids in other countries how to speak English.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
It is. It really is. It's lots of fun.
Is there a teacher's pet? Do you have like one of those? Of one of the kids?
I have children that, Mr. I do. I kind of do. I actually had one of my, and it's really because you get to know the moms. A lot of the parents will stay out of the picture, but sometimes you'll get kind of involved with the mom. And I sent, you can send presents to them. And so I sent a couple of my kids presents for their birthday. And then I got chocolates for Christmas. And
wow.
So yeah, it's nice. It's fun.
How long have you been doing this, Lisa?
A little over a year.
Oh, I'm sitting here thinking that you've been doing this for like half a decade.
I mean, the thing is that when I started, it really seemed a little intimidating, but I was like so positive about it, and I'm not that positive about a lot of things. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. Mm-hmm. But this was something I was really sure about because I've always taught kids, and I worked in a preschool and I taught 4 and 5-year-olds, and I went to college and got my CDA, which is a Child Development Associate's credential. I was heading to get my early childhood education, and then I went through a divorce, and my life kind of fell apart. So I did not do that, did not pursue that. But I still love kids, and I've worked at my church, Liberty.
Mhm.
Worked with the children there for many, many years. I haven't done it in a few years, but for many years I worked with the preschool there too.
Was there something about China specifically that made you want to teach there, or was it just kind of what came up and you're like, oh, this
No,
would be a great
honestly,
opportunity?
it was intimidating to think about China just because it just seems so foreign. And I guess I had this perception that, of people in other countries. I didn't realize I had the perception. But when I started getting to know some of the mothers, I was like, oh, well, you're just like a normal mom. You love your kids as much as I do, and you want the best for your kid. And, and then sometimes you'd meet some of their dads, and the dads would push their child and, be sitting there correcting their English. You're like, I'm the teacher. You're not saying this right. So, but yeah, it's you really connect with them. I really did connect with them and started realizing that they're just like us. I mean, their feelings are the same. They love their kids.
That's really wonderful too. Have you, I guess, experienced any sort of flack from either side about like, because obviously there's brewing tension between these two countries.
There
obviously,
is.
not to get political, but I'm just saying.
I've got one little boy that is a genius. Like literally, he can read better. He's like 6, and he can read better than an American 12-year-old. Like literally, he's a genius. And he tells me things that I'm like, I did not know that. And he talks about the space shuttles and things like that. I'm like, I didn't have any idea. Thank you for letting me know. And so he's very, very smart. But when a lot of this stuff started happening a few months ago, things have always been happening, but there were some shakeups, and I think especially with the COVID, he would say something, and then I would see his dad come in the room like, you shouldn't be saying that.
Oh, no.
You really do have to be careful.
Yeah.
Because they monitor you, and they record you. Yes, they can. That like the company or even the government can come in onto the into the classroom at any time.
Jeez
I'm
Louise.
assuming the government can. I feel like they have access, but so you have to be really careful. But I loved him and he loved me, and it was just a great relationship. And then all of a sudden he went off the deep end and started telling me that he hated me. And I was like, where is this coming from?
He's 6 years old?
Yes, he was 6. And I'm like, I don't know. So I did have a little conversation with his mom back and forth. And, I still don't really know. He kind of calmed down a little bit. I don't know if it was just that being stuck inside for so long, because it started there first, and so they were quarantined first, and they had a long time of being quarantined, and it didn't get better for a while.
Yeah, and also because you're not over there, there's really no telling. There could have been some outside agenda somewhere else that was influencing the sick. He's 6. He's very, very, very impressionable.
Exactly.
Right? So there could be something. I'm not saying I have no idea, but I'm just saying.
That's what right.
But yeah, for him to just swing on a dime like that, it's kind of unusual.
It is.
Because usually kids, especially if they take a shining to you as an adult, they kind of keep it. You'd have to do something really dramatic. You personally,
yes,
to
and
them.
there was no difference in anything I did.
That's weird.
But it was. But
weird.
you think about it, a lot of the kids now, even in America, are getting depressed, and I think the suicide rate has gone up. I think there's probably, especially in the children, I think there's just a lot of things that are happening emotionally that the kids don't really know how to deal with, and parents don't really know how to deal with. And it was the same there. It's the same thing.
I feel like a lot of that can be helped, not cured, but helped by connection, right?
Yes.
Like being with people, being
Absolutely.
with your friends, community, and stuff like that. And I think part of the reasons why our suicide rate has went up in part is just because everybody's on. Not everybody, but there's all the lockdowns and stuff like that, and people need people.
Yes,
we are
absolutely, and you need touch.
Social creature. And
here we've been, don't touch, stay within 6 feet, wear your mask. And I'm not going to say one way or the other about that. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not, a big political person, but at the same time, I'm like, man, guys, we need touch. My kids need touch, and I need to get back to church. I need to get back to my people. And you start feeling kind of drained and kind of dried out after a while when you're not around people.
So I always tell people, it's crazy to think about, the worst thing they can do to you if you're in prison with a bunch of real life monsters is take you away from them and put you in solitary confinement. That's the worst thing they can do to you. These people want to kill you and rape you and shank you. But the worst thing they can do to you is take you away from those people. And that's crazy to think about. It's almost unreal, but it makes sense. social creatures. We
Yeah,
need
we
each other
are.
to survive and to
Exactly.
thrive and to live. So
We're wired for that, and we're wired for touch. I mean, we need that physical touch and that physical, interaction with people. And it's not quite the same doing it on Zoom or doing it,
yeah, that's very true.
But I
Yeah.
do have I have a little circle of people that I stay connected with. So I don't feel like I'm missing out too much.
You got a big family too.
I do.
So
We
you're,
do.
Big old family, just a
Big
bunch of
old
loves and
family,
hugs and
yes.
chocolate cakes.
Yes. And lots of drama. And Andrew's over there rolling his eyes.
Yeah. So, yeah. You know what? So anybody listening to this right now, if the family, her son Andrew is just right here. I'm looking at him. Somebody see me looking at him? Look at him. He's in the background. Y'all can't see him. I can see him.
Yes.
So he was telling me that, and I'm totally gonna. I told you I was gonna do this. I'm gonna put I'm gonna throw you.
Oh
over the,
Lord.
Okay, I won't.
That's fine. What?
No, I won't say it. No, I'm not gonna say it. It's fine. Never mind. I won't do it. No, I'm gonna do it. So you were like, oh man, they must be really desperate. They want me on the show. You told me about that, and I was like, what?
I was
Desperate?
just joking. Actually,
There's no way. You're in trouble now. She's gonna get you.
It's okay. It's okay.
I saw that, and I was like, no, that's like I only have, so anybody listening to this, if I ever send you a request to be on the show, it's because I either like you, not like I want to take you on a date necessarily, but I like you or I think you're very interesting.
Okay.
And
Well,
so-
see, it wasn't anything against y'all. It was really more about me. It's like, because I'm not, I've seen some of your podcasts, and I'm like, well, these people are really interesting, and they're, doing all this great and wonderful stuff. And yeah.
You don't think you're interesting? I think you're very interesting.
Well, thank you.
You're teaching like Chinese kids how to speak English.
Yeah, that is interesting. That's pretty
digital
cool.
box.
You're absolutely right. That is awesome. That's a
tens
cool
of
thing.
thousands of miles away on the other side of the country, and they can see you, and they're learning like a different language.
Yes, it is. That's
if
pretty phenomenal.
you really sit there and wrap your head around that, that's insane. It's like you're on this little
I
digital
would have never
box.
thought in a million years that I would be doing something like this with kids. Never in a million years thought. This was like something that would have never even crossed my mind, because I've been a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and I've always thought, man, I wish I could find something to do, here that I could help with all the extracurricular activities that our kids are involved in, and this is it. It doesn't interfere with with anything. I'm done by 8, and it helps.
You seem pretty passionate about it. How long do you think you'll be doing this? How long do you want to do it?
I will do it until, and I know this may be a pat answer, but I honestly had a dream.
Wait, what did you say? A pat answer?
A pat answer.
What's that?
That
What's
means
like Pat from SNL?
No, not him or her or
okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
She is. He is. I don't know.
Anyway, what's a pat?
A pat answer is just like I don't know. It's I can't give you like an exact. A simple, just like a simple, like just simplified, or like something maybe anybody would say, or whatever.
I got you. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I was just curious.
Okay.
I'd never heard that before, so I was just curious.
Okay. Anyway, so maybe there's another word for it that I can use.
No. You please use that word. No,
anyway,
I ask questions. This is what I do.
I had a dream that I was going to be doing something that was really weird, and it was like a year before I actually started doing it. And so when I started doing it, I knew it was God. And so, I honestly, there's been some shakeups. There's been like a lot of teachers that got fired during a period of time, and I had to just keep remembering, okay, well, God, if this is you, then I'm going to continue this job until I'm not, until you're done with it, until I move on to something else. And so I really didn't stress about it. I didn't get fired. I'm still working there. So, and the Chinese government's made a lot of changes too. They really cracked down. There's a lot of these around, and some of them aren't that great. And they've really cracked down on them, and they started doing audits, and there was lots of changes that were made, and lots of training materials, and lots of things that we didn't have to do when I first started that we're having to do now. So, but I just roll with the punches.
So another thing I'm curious about, so doing the job that you do you have to have the same credentials and education that you have to do it, or can like somebody just...
Well, PALFISH is one of the few that does not require a degree.
Okay.
And again, I never did go and complete my degree with that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you did that.
That's okay. It just happens. It is what it is. But
the only reason I'm asking this because I know I have some friends that will probably be like, "Oh, really? Like, I wonder if I could do this because I'd love to."
And they can. But the thing is when COVID hit, everybody was out of school. And so there was an influx of students coming in because they needed things to do. And so they had to hire a ton of teachers. And so when they started hiring a ton of teachers, when the kids started going back to school, you had all these teachers and there wasn't enough students. And so and that's when they started firing people and the government stepped in and there's some other things that were going on and changes that were made. So all in all, it was, it's a little more difficult to get into it now. I got into it in a really good time. The government may start requiring that we get a degree for it, but as of right now, I did have to get TESOL certified, which is teaching English as a second language.
Okay.
And but that was it.
Have you learned any Cantonese?
No.
Or I don't know what part of China you're
Mandarin,
is it Mandarin?
I
is
think.
It Mandarin?
And no, yes. But I'm afraid to say it because it's like I'll learn it and then because everything, everybody knows how Chinese is. It's very, there's so much inflection.
Yeah,
and
it's a tonality.
Yes, and the interesting thing is there's a few things in English that the children, they've never done that. There's some things like the,
mm-hmm.
And they don't know how to do that. I don't know if they even have a the in Mandarin, or Chinese, they don't. Andrew's shaking his head because he's like, and there's other things like, trying to think, but there's certain words that they have a hard time grasping the concept. Oh, the S's on the end of words. When you say, I like her, do you like her? She likes her. And that is the difficult thing is the like, so the S on the end of words. So I'm constantly having to correct that.
We had a guest on the show once. He's an old friend of ours who speaks fluent. I think it's Mandarin, isn't it? Doesn't Clint speak Mandarin? Yeah, he's fluent in Mandarin. He's been to China a couple times. He's a martial artist also. That's part of the reason. He does like 8-step praying mantis kung fu. But yeah, he was on the show. He speaks really good Mandarin, and it's interesting because if you saw him, you would never expect that he's like this big, like Viking-looking guy with a bald head and a big beard. He's also the frontman for a heavy metal band.
That's
and
funny.
he's super light and very zen. Speaks Mandarin and does praying mantis.
That would be
kung fu.
interesting to go into like a restaurant, like a Chinese restaurant or something, and be like,
no, he
start ordering food or whatever.
Yeah, he told the story about that. Like he goes in there and he starts speaking Mandarin, and then people are like, they're completely flabbergasted. Because he looks, just like this badass, like heavy metal guy, big guy with a bald head and beard. And
definitely not what they're expecting.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah.
So, what else do you do? What do you do? What else do you do in your free time? And
honestly,
for fun?
there's little things I do here and there. I can tell you. I told Andrew, I said you really should ask. Well, I don't know if I told you that you should ask me about this, but I'm very interested in psychology, and we studied the DISC, which is personalities, which is a very it's a really, really interesting subject.
Okay.
And that was something that my husband and I started doing a few years ago, is doing the DISC, and we started teaching it and really started to understand it and get to know it. And that's one of the things that kind of helped us in our blended family, because we had a rough start when we first got married because of the blend and he was so different than my ex-husband, and my kids coming in, and he didn't know how to handle them because they were crazy and somewhat out of control. And so, yeah, it was an interesting time, but
I always try to make a joke to people and tell them that I have a PhD in practical psychology.
Yes.
A practical psychologist.
Yes. Well, it's interesting because,
I don't think that's a real thing.
I was sitting there thinking when I first came in, I'm like, okay, you're an I. I was thinking before I met you just now, which I've met you before, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you don't remember me from church all those years ago.
No, I don't.
I'm so hurt.
I'm sorry.
Super hurt.
Yeah, I'm old. It's, it's like I just don't remember a lot of things.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, you were saying.
But anyway, yeah, so when I've seen you on the podcast, and I'm like, oh, he must be an I, because an I is like one of these people persons. They are, they love to be around people. They like to be the life of the party. They like the center of attention, that kind of thing. But as I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm thinking, I don't know about that so much.
Well, okay, so what is it then? If I'm not the I,
I would think, what are you thinking, Andrew? I think more maybe I think you probably have a lot of C in you, which C is very analytical.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cautious, which I don't know. I'd have to get to know you a little bit. You think so? Yeah. You lead with your eye.
I
Okay.
lead with my eye. Which eye though? Left or right?
Yes, left or right. An eye is a leader.
Okay.
And they're people.
You're talking to me and you're like, oh, well, actually.
No. I'm just saying that there's a
leader.
blend and it just depends on what's coming out. You know, it's like you can see somebody in one way and then you see them in a different setting. You're like, oh, I see a little different side of them now. So
I got to bust your chops, Lisa. You know, that's what I do.
Okay.
That's what I do. That's why they pay me the big bucks here, ladies and
just
gents.
twist my words. It's okay. Just twist
Yeah, that's
them.
what I do. I give false information out to the public. And that's what they wrestle
now I'm
with.
a little nervous about how this is going to be edited.
No, it's hey. This is CNN. No. Oh, man. So I am an IC.
Maybe.
An IC.
Maybe?
An IC.
I see.
Those are delicious.
Andrew is a CI.
What makes you think that I'm cautious? Like, what do you mean by cautious?
Well, that's just like a typical C thing is to be cautious. It's like when you're going into a new situation, you kind of have to, you really pay attention to your surroundings and you analyze things. And it's not that you're afraid. It's just that you are very aware of what's going on around you.
I'd say that's a really good assessment because essentially, especially when I'm doing something new or meeting a new person or in a new environment, I'm pretty very observant. Like I'm kind of like scanning around and kind of like, you know, minding my surroundings and what it's all about and stuff. But I've also as I've gotten older, I've learned that because a lot of that time that would hold me back with things.
Yes.
So a lot of the times now I kind of there's a lot of things I just go head first into now, almost to a fault. But yeah, you're not entirely wrong about that. It's a pretty good assessment, I think.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know anything about that, so I can't.
Yeah,
you're
it's
very,
fascinating. And right now,
you're very vivacious.
Vivacious.
That's it. You're a V. I don't know.
You're
if that's
a V.
thing.
You're a
V.
whatever.
You're a vibrant, vivacious lady. Vibrant, vivacious vixen. Boom.
Vixen.
Look at that. There we go.
I don't know about that, but thanks.
Oh my God. Are you having fun so far? Is your nerves kind of melting away a little
it's
bit?
fine.
Boom. That's what I do.
I'm still thinking I need to say something really interesting.
You've been saying a lot of stuff interesting. The stuff
see.
about what did you call it? Palefish? Palefish?
Palfish.
Palfish.
Yeah.
Palfish. Like pal, like you're my pal. Okay. Yeah, that was all very, very interesting. That's why I asked you about it. Because like I said, you're the only person that I know that the other guy, I don't really even talk to him anymore. So, and he doesn't do it remotely. He's actually in Japan. So
yeah, I've actually had a couple of the mothers invite me out and said they would host me. And some of the teachers have, gotten really close to their kids. Like I have regulars now. When you first start out, you do trials and you hope that people like you enough to join Palfish and get a fixed spot with you. So most of my kids I've got are regulars, and they've been with me for a while. And so I've gotten to know them very well and their parents, some of their parents.
That's really cool. What does the rest of your family and friends think about you doing this? Like it's really cool and they
Yeah, it is. I mean, my husband tells me all the time how proud he is of me because it's funny because I am not a morning person. I hate mornings, and I'm a night owl. I still have a hard time going to bed when I need to be able to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But when I first started, he's like, Lisa, I really didn't think you were going to be able to do this. He's like, I have never known you to be able to get up, and so at 4 o'clock in the morning, I get up, I drag myself to the bathroom, I throw some lipstick on, throw a hat on, put my blue shirt on, and I, trudge, and I'm getting my coffee, and I'm just barely awake, and I walk down the stairs, and I'm just and I sit in my chair hi, and that's how you have to be. And so for the next 3 hours, I'm like this, and then when I get done, I'm like, oh God, okay, just let me go back to bed for a minute. And sometimes I'll go take a nap, and I've started doing it a lot more lately. Is coming back and taking a nap just because it wipes me out. If I have to go the rest of the day, because again, my family has been used to staying up. We don't, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning,
What do you think about, I'm going to totally put Andrew on blast here, but when he was a teenager, so there was all the...
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah. That's good. That's good. I can talk about that. Yeah.
He's walking out of the room.
No, here's the thing. I'm not going to, the thing is I'm not going to share anything that, Andrew and I haven't already talked about. I've always asked him, hey, is this okay?
Yeah.
And so I know what I can talk about and what I can't talk about.
All I was going to say was that I was going to make the joke about how a lot of his teenage friends would always be like, hey, is your mom going to come hang out with us? Is your mom coming over, dude? And then I think I remember him saying once to us that he was like, yeah, sometimes I feel like like half of my friends aren't even, they're just friends with me because like they want to like hang out with my mom.
That
What's
was a
that all
long
about?
time ago. Yeah, that was long time ago. Back when I was a lot younger. Yes.
She'll never be on the show again. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's
Never
asking me this stuff,
mind.
Andrew.
I'm not gonna
He's such
go
a-
into any of that. But thanks for bringing it up, Mitchell. I appreciate
that bad
it.
guy, that C. How dare that C
How
do
dare
that?
you? How dare you do that? No.
I'm sorry. I just was trying to make you blush. That was it.
No, it
What's
really
right there?
didn't make me blush.
It didn't
but
make you
thanks.
blush?
No,
Oh,
not really.
It made him blush. I made somebody blush. I mean, I'm sure you took that as a huge compliment, all right?
Yeah,
It's like if
yeah,
if
it was
my
nice.
kids and like
Well,
had
I
like
mean, I'd gone through a divorce, and it was nice to hear. But you know, I guess as you get older, you realize that it's not. It's flattery, and it's doesn't matter. I think I would rather be known now for my wisdom, for my love for my family and my love for my kids. You know, for my heart for Jesus.
Sure.
I mean, that's just what I'd rather be known for now, and that's what's important to me.
Is that the most important thing you would say?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. Because I mean, you get old, you get old and your hair turns gray and it's harder to lose weight these days than it used to be. And, all the things that come along with that. So
yeah, gravity takes a hold and we all start just deteriorating through time.
Absolutely.
Unless you get
but you asked him a lot of hard questions about his drug use and stuff. And, I don't mind going there. We had, it was hard. It was very difficult to as a mother and your heart, and your heart's walking around outside your chest, and he is making these decisions. And of course, at that time, I was making some really dumb decisions myself. So, and then there's guilt of how maybe the divorce, or maybe just the way I, how crazy I went, and there's just lots of things that were involved in that. But I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud of the things that he has overcome.
Yeah, I think he's came a pretty far away, and he's made some really good headway.
Yes, that's my baby right there.
So,
he's a mama's boy.
I totally know. I totally knew that.
Yes,
I can't say anything. I'm a total mama's boy too.
Are
the baby
you?
of the
Are
family.
You really?
Yeah, I'm the baby of the family.
Aww.
I got spoiled.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, my mom's still.
So, how many siblings do you have?
So I have here in the United States, I have 4, and then overseas I have 3. My mom is a foreigner.
Okay.
So yes, I have a lot, and I don't really know the ones overseas, unfortunately for me. But the ones here, I mean, I guess they're okay.
Yeah.
You guys are all right. Whatever.
I have Mitchell's siblings.
I have two sisters and 2 brothers. Okay. They're all half siblings, though, right?
Okay.
So, I'm when it comes to just me and like the children that my father and mother had, it's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm the lone wolf.
Yeah. So where's your mom from?
My mom is from Vietnam.
Okay.
She was in the Vietnamese military. And
that's it. Now, see, that's interesting. Let me just interview you, okay?
Okay.
Can we just do that?
So I wrestle with I really love cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
No, but she came over here. Long story short, she met like a American soldier. She was for people that don't know, the North was trying to take over the South, and so she was in the southern part of Vietnam. So she was that part of that military that was fighting against the communist North, and then the Americans came over to help. And that they didn't help because the war, the North still took over anyway. That's neither here nor there. But and then she met her husband, which is my other sibling's father. I think he was a Green Beret or something like that. And they met and got married. And my sister, my eldest sister, actually was born in Vietnam and then came over here.
Oh, wow.
So I don't think I'm not sure. I don't think she has dual citizenship. She might. I don't know how that works. I guess because it was so long ago. I don't know if that was even a thing for Vietnam. But yeah, she was born over there. It's pretty hilarious.
It's
like this old black
really
and white picture of her and one of our cousins on a tricycle, and you can clearly tell that she's not fully Asian. Because looks like a white baby.
Oh, that's neat. That's really interesting.
And so, that's kind of a little bit of my discography.
Yeah.
Lady.
Cool.
I asked the questions here, lady.
Okay, sorry.
I'm kidding. So you said you had 7 children.
Yes.
And do any of these children have children?
Yes. I have several grandkids, and they're scattered. I have one that is in Jasper, I think, and I get him sometimes. I have one that's in, a couple of them that are in. My other daughter has, one of my daughters has two, and so I mean, I just have. They're everywhere.
Big,
I have
big
step
family. I bet
grandkids.
your,
Like I just, they're
your
everywhere.
Thanksgivings must be just wild.
They are. Thanksgiving, and
Kids
Christmas.
and
It is.
kids.
It's and especially when when my stepdaughter got married, and then she ended up having stepkids, and so they all came. So yeah, it was a big Christmas for us even this year.
Wow.
Even through the quarantine and not getting together with everybody, we didn't see my sister and her husband. We didn't see my mom and dad at Christmas time. And
your sister is I know her because
Sharon.
Yes,
Sharon Sizemore.
Sharon Sizemore.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Matt when we were going to Garywood.
Hi, Sharon, if you're watching.
Yeah, hey Sharon. I don't know if you remember us. Remember me and Matt and Thomas and all the skater boys.
Yeah.
We had our little clique going on.
Skater boys.
Yeah, and she thought we were cool. And they were like, man, she's a weird adult. She's like the first adult at this church that wasn't like, why are these guys with long hair and holy jeans and
she's
band shirts on with skulls and stuff on it? Like, and she was like, oh, you guys are cool. And I was like, oh, cool. And then we found out later that it was Andrew's aunt. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense because Andrew's like, it's like metalhead guy and stuff like that.
She's the one that dropped him on his head when he was a baby.
Oh.
Like literally.
Shout out, Sharon. That explains a lot. That's what happened.
That's been the ongoing joke in our family for many years now.
Oh my gosh. So legitimately, that's not a joke.
Legitimate. Wow. Yeah. She was 12 and he was 13. I don't know. And he was just, he wasn't, I don't even know if he was walking yet, but she had him on her hip and she was standing there with him. We were all standing in the kitchen talking. It was my mom and me and her. And he did the thing that some babies do where they just go flip backwards and she didn't have his back and he landed like thud and everybody was just stunned and my sister went and she ran to her bedroom and shut the door.
Oh my gosh. How old was Andrew?
And we're sitting there going, I don't know. I don't think he was just a few months old because he was sitting up, but he still hadn't quite grasped the idea, I don't think, of holding on to things or whatever, so yeah.
He survived it. He's a hardhead.
He did. It wasn't the first time he bumped his head, too. So
shout out Sharon Sizemore. Can you do that again? Like the next time you see Andrew, can you try to pick him up?
We want it.
Drop him again. Make sure we get it on video though. We'll make a TikTok out of it.
Yeah, that would be cool. Let us make it happen. You know how they take the old pictures from way back when and reenact them or re whatever they do.
Yeah,
we need to reenact that in
that
video.
That'd
be awesome.
Exquisite. Million hits on TikTok. I'm claiming it right now.
That'd be great.
Recreating the baby dropping.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome.
Yeah. Are you? Is this going the way you thought it would go? You thought like. It's kind of silly, right? We're like goofing off and joking around.
I mean, it's fine. So
but you're not nervous anymore, right?
No,
you're
I'm not nervous. I'm just
laughing.
I'm sitting there thinking, I really hope y'all edit some of this out.
No, we probably won't.
I mean, like thinking, like the times I bumped the microphone.
Yeah, well, Matt will probably get rid
comes
of that,
back and knocks me in the face or something.
Not any of this silly stuff. This stuff is important. People need to see fun human interaction like this. I think it is very important to see that people don't have to take life so seriously.
Yes,
absolutely. I wrote this thing once where I said that laughter is probably one of the best pieces of medicine that man is blessed with. It has the ingredients to cure what ails you, but it's not a Band-Aid. It's like a rejuvenation tank. That's very true. Dr. Patch Adams wrote a whole book about the power of laughter.
Yes. Do you know that laughter releases oxytocin?
Yes.
And oxytocin is the bonding chemical that bonds people together. It's the same bonding chemical that's released when a mother breastfeeds her child.
Yeah. See, this is what I'm always trying to make people laugh, and I like to laugh. I'm feeding them with the breast of life here. That's what's going on. Yes. That's what I do. Let me feed you with my metaphoric breast, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know if it like releases the same amount or whatever. I don't know. And
it does. I'm a professional. It does. I'm telling you right now.
So you know what you're talking about.
I got a PhD. I told you earlier.
I heard this in the past sometimes, a long time ago. It wasn't anything, I'm just kidding. I really have read about it, but.
Well, Lisa, I usually ask people if they had fun, but I feel like you've had a pretty good time.
Yeah,
you've laughed a lot, and we've talked about some funny things. Now I'm going to get a little bit deeper, right, towards the point of the show, why the the name is what it is. Wrestling. It doesn't have anything to do with professional wrestling, although it could. I mean, those people wrestle physically, and then they also wrestle with a lot of like other demons that they face or whatever. But the Wrestling Diaries is about, what do people wrestle with? Struggle. To me, there's something really beautiful about struggle, because struggle sometimes is salvation, right? Like you when you struggle with things, you realize just how much, I don't know, how much more beauty is out there, right? Like you appreciate things so much more, and you wouldn't otherwise. And so many things have happened in my life where I've actually sat and thought about that concept, right? Like I was like, I ran like a marathon once, right? And I remember at the end of it, like, oh, just to sit down and lay down and have a drink of water, like just those very simple things that people take for granted, they never think about, right? Like sitting down and the cool breeze hit me and I had my eyes closed and I was like, man, I've never sat and really intricately thought about what's happening to me right now. Mm-hmm. Like this wind feels so good. Like it's cooling the sweat on me. This water is so good, just resting. Because I was like running for so long in the heat of the sun and stuff like that. And I was like, it's such a simple thing. I wonder how many people just really don't think about these kind of things. So there's something important about struggle. And there's also something important where when people hear about the things that you're struggling with, there becomes like this relationship, right? Even if they don't know you, they're like, man, that lady, that guy, that person, they're dealing with something that I'm dealing with. And I thought no one but me. Or like I can relate to what they're saying. It's like they're speaking to me without actually speaking to me. And that's really important because it's like this, I don't want to be too razzle-dazzle with it, but I feel like it's this spiritual connection that you make with people that you've never even touched, right? Almost kind of like you do with your students that you actually get to see. There is this emotional tie there that you have with them, even without touching their face or shaking their hand or giving them a hug. There's something very important about that. So you, Lisa Brister, what do you wrestle with? What are the demons that you fight with? What are the things that you have to deal with that you try to overcome as a young lady in this world?
As a mom, you do your kids, your heart's walking around on the outside of you. And I think too, it gets a lot harder when they get older and they're grown and gone and they're making decisions and you're having to watch from afar and you don't really have the control. You can't ground them. You can't take their phone away. You can't protect them. You just have to watch them go through whatever they're determined to go through. And that's really difficult. But, I'm learning to let go. It's one of the things that I dealt with Andrew, and I have to deal with all of them, is codependency issues. That's something that I've struggled with, and had to go. Went through some therapy and counseling, and just to just be able to step back away from things and not try to fix it all the time. And that's really hard. It's a hard thing to do. It's very, very hard to watch someone go through something that you love, and they are. They're fixing to just run dead into a tree and it's going to be devastating. And so I do a lot of praying. I do a lot of releasing that way. And I think the good thing that's happened over the past few years, because of the changes that I've made in my life, because of the what God has done. I mean, honestly, what God's done in my life and where He's brought me from as a younger person trying to raise kids as older now, is that I don't. There was a time when I went through the divorce and I I went off the deep end, and I really struggled for a couple of years before I married my husband now. And my kids were kind of going crazy, and they were being shifted between households, and they were wondering what was going on with their mom, and then there was just a lot of craziness going on, and it's been a really great season for me because I feel like all of that's been redeemed. And it's been redeemed because now my kids call me and they say, "Hey, Mom," because they've seen the changes and they've seen what God has done in me, and they've seen what God has done in my marriage, which was like on the brink of divorce for like 3 years. We were like hated each other, and just the turmoil that was in all of that. So they've seen all of that as older kids, and so it's fulfilling to me now to where they are calling me and wanting advice, or they're calling me and saying, "Hey, Mom, I need you." And it's not where I'm having to go fix anything, but it's just, I can pray with them, I can encourage them, I can, like that kind of thing. So it has been a good season for me. I don't know if I'm really struggling as much as I used to with demons. Like literal, like I literally feel like there were demons that were being wrestled with. I know that sounds crazy for some people, but I do. I believe in spirit world, and I believe there are demons. I believe there's angels, and there was a heavy duty struggle. So I'm living a completely different life now, and it's a beautiful life. It is. I love my husband. I love my kids. I'm learning to let go. I'm learning to let go of the codependency. I still have times. My husband can see it, and he's like, "Okay, Lisa, I see where this is going." Like, I know. Okay, let me go. Let me step back away from this for a minute and just look at everything and just see. You have to learn how to lay down the things that you really can't change, and that has been a huge learning. That's been something that I feel like as I've aged and grown and in maturity, that's what I've learned. I can't change it. I can just pray for them. That's all I can do.
And I feel like, and without knowing you that well, I feel like a lot of that stuff that you had to deal with as a mother and as, a wife, ex-wife, a friend, whatever, woman in this world, that it's made you a lot stronger, right? Like that old adage, like it's cheesy, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but it's a real thing. It really is. Like if you survive, you weather the storm, you're calloused, you are strong as long as you don't shut down. And you definitely haven't. Like I feel like you're that kind of person that you keep pressing forward. Right? And it hurts. The sandstorm hurts. It hurts your eyes, but you're moving through the storm to get out to the other side where there's clear skies.
Yeah. There's a quote. I was in a class one time, and it was just like a Sunday night class at church or something. It was on leadership, and I'll try to quote it. I don't remember who said it, but we were watching a video on leadership, and he said, "Experience doesn't make you wiser. Evaluated experience makes you wiser." And so just going through something doesn't make you a better person just because you went through something. You might sympathize with someone better and understand them better, but that doesn't make you wiser. And so that's been my goal, is to, when I go through something I completely fail and fall on my face, is to look at it and go, okay, what could I have done better? Without like completely going into a tailspin and, oh my gosh, I failed and I just want to crawl under a rock and I can't believe I did that and all that. Is just really try to take a step back away from it and just look at it and go, okay, let me think about what I can do better next time. How can I say this better? How can I word this better? How could I have dealt with this better? And so I really am a very introspective person. And honestly, it's easier for me to talk deep than it is to have like shallow conversation. So, it is. It's a lot easier for me to be deeper.
Yeah, I completely agree with you 100%. I've also known a handful of people too that have been through the ringer, right? And they are just not quick to count their blessings about things, and they still just end up going down that same dark spiral. And I feel like, without being a professional about it, just my own opinion, I feel like a lot of that is just them not being truthful and honest with themselves, right? Because if you are absolutely self-aware of what's going on, then it's easy for you to make a judgment call. And you're like, yeah, this probably is not the best thing for my life or the best thing for my family or the environment that surrounds me. It's just not a good way to handle and represent myself as a person. And a lot of people, unfortunately, it's like that switch is just clicked off with them. It's just they don't get it. They're just not, like you said, you're very introspective. A lot of people don't have the honor, I guess, of having that talent. And that makes me sad sometimes.
I mean, everybody can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's it's just a natural talent.
Like I said, it's a switch.
That's right. It is. It's like you go in. But here's the thing: if you are in a negative cycle, let's say you're a person that is going from abusive relationship to abusive relationship to abusive relationship, and it's all the abuser's fault.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you need to step back and go, okay, there's something that's wrong with my picker. I'm choosing people wrongly, and there's something internally that I need to work out because I continue to be attracted to this certain kind of person. And so it is all about being aware of the cycles that you go through and understanding that if you are going in a cycle and that cycle you've been doing it for years and years, recognize that you're doing that cycle and realize there's
pattern recognition.
Yes, it is. There's a root. There's a root cause why you can't get out of that cycle. It's there's something there. Go to therapy, go to counseling, get a psychiatrist, whatever you have to do. I mean, I'm not shy about that kind of thing. You know, I'm like, if I need help, I've got a good mentor that is a counselor, and I leaned on counselors and mentors and therapy and all of that for several years. And now, you know, I've got somebody that I can call a drop of a hat and be like, hey, can we talk in a couple of days? I'm processing some things. I just want to process it. And she kind of helps me lay it out. And we talk about it, and it helps me. So if you know, just to have someone to talk to about that kind of thing too, and just recognize that. But a lot of times we don't deal with our emotions. We stuff it, and we think stuffing it is dealing with it. You know, you stuff it, you don't deal with it, and you put on a happy face, and everything's fine. But I promise you, what happens is when you get into a whirlwind of something, all of that's going to come out, and you're not going to handle it well because you didn't deal with it. And so it's going to make whatever you're in that much worse.
Right, because it's been festering.
Right, exactly. And so, you know, that's something that I'm learning as well, is just there are emotions that I'm afraid of and I don't want to deal with, and I'm learning how to deal with them. And that is honestly just having friends that are honest, that you can trust, that love you. And, you know, I process things, you know, I like go talk with my friends and we just process through things. So
I agree. It's very important. It's also, I mean, we, especially in general society today, we lack a lot of discipline. And I'm speaking it just about as much about myself as I am anybody else, right? I never try to make like a judgment call on other people without like judging myself first, right? Too many people do that already anyways without any help. Like they're quick to just, that's the whole, like, going back to the not being honest with yourself, right? Like you're quick to like, it's their fault. It's always somebody else. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
There's no way
I mean,
it's my
there's
fault.
people that are in their 80s that are still living like that.
That's crazy.
It's somebody else's fault.
As you grow, you're supposed to attain more wisdom, right? Your mind still keeps growing until the day you die. And that's what I love about human people. Like I mean, we're the only, I guess, like creature that can do that. And so for you to be 80 and still live like that, that's so weird to be in that box for that long. It's insane.
It's like by the time they get there, you know, if you deal with things, or you taught to deal with things when you're younger, it's so much easier to learn that than when you become an adult. And, you know, when you're younger, you go through something and you're like, oh, this kid doesn't like me, and, you know, whatever. And you deal with it. But if you don't deal with it, what ends up happening is you grow up and you're dealing with divorce, or you're dealing with broken relationships or whatever, because you did not learn how to deal with that when you're a kid. And it's like, you know, you got 5 pounds of pressure on a little kid compared to, 5 tons of pressure on an adult. So, you know, I think that's why I love kids so much. I want them to know they're valued, they're loved. My eyes light up when a kid comes in the room. I just adore them. I want to know what their giftings are. I want to know, you know, what purpose are you here on this earth for? You know, what can I say to you to kind of sow into you something that's positive that you can kind of hold on to as you go through life. You know, I just want them to feel accepted and loved.
With children, it's very important because, like I said, they're very impressionable.
Yes.
And so, like, whatever you're teaching them and whatever they're learning about is they're building a foundation for themselves that will more than likely carry them through the rest of their life, right?
Yes.
And if you build a foundation on shoddy ground, you build a house and like the schematics are off, then it doesn't matter like how good the house is built after that point, it's going to collapse eventually, right? The foundation has to be solid. And that's a really important thing. There's a quote, and I don't know the name of this person. It's probably a good thing though, because I think they were like a communist dictator that killed a bunch of people. But They said, what is it? Get them while they're young, and the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, it sounds like Hitler or something like that.
It might be, or it might be Stalin. It might be Stalin or something like that.
And that is the truth. That is
the truth.
Yes.
I mean, well, with Stalin or Hitler, they built like almost indestructible soldier human beings because they got them so young and stuff.
Well, I mean, they're even kidnapping children, like the Boko Haram. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Like I said, I don't really do a lot of politics and reading, like keeping up with a lot of that. But I do like to know kind of what's going on. But yeah, they just kidnapped a bunch of children, and I'm thinking, they're just that's the purpose. I think that's the reason is they know they need to get them young.
You know, something that really pisses me off about that stuff too. That stuff is not like it's in media, and it's not like stuff like sex trafficking and children being kidnapped and sold into slavery should be like the number one trending thing in the news. When you turn on CNN, that should be the first thing they're talking about. Not about like how like nasty the president farted or something like that. Why isn't it? And it's such a weird thing. This is what breeds conspiracy theorists, stuff like that. The fact that more
things aren't
important
being
things,
right,
like
that things aren't being prioritized. Yeah, right, exactly.
They're being herded up like cattle, and nobody's talking about it. People are dying. It's so weird. We could have a whole discussion on just that. We're living
in a weird era right now. This is the whole thing is just crazy.
It's super crazy. Up is down, down is up.
It is. It's just everything's backwards and nothing makes sense.
Yeah, it's like we're in a Stanley Kubrick movie. Everything's just all twisted around. Lisa, let me ask you this: what your children obviously are very, very important to you. That was part of the reason they are having to deal with them and their struggles was one of your biggest struggles that you wrestled with, that you said. So in finality, like if you are leaving a legacy to them, what kind of legacy is that? And what do you say to them? Like, say they check out this podcast, 20 years from now, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever. What do you say to them? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? What kind of message do you want to send to them? And what do you want to be remembered about the most? Like, what does that look like?
I think my kids know what I would say to them. And I think, this is something that comes from my heart, and I'm not trying to push an agenda. Jesus changed my life, and my heart for my kids, and they all know this, is that they turn to him and they live in their purpose and their identity and their true identity and know who they are, because it changed me to know who I am. Completely changed my life. It changed my outlook. It changed who I was 15, 20 years ago. It changed everything about me to where even some of the insecurities and old things, because I wasn't sure of myself and I didn't know who I was or whatever. It's like, I feel like for the first time in a long time, I'm actually living in my purpose. And that is what I want my kids to do. And I believe the only way to do that is a relationship with Jesus. And that is just bottom line for me, is I want my kids to love Jesus. I really do.
That's beautiful. That's very, very beautiful. Thank you for that.
I love you, Andrew.
Oh no, Matt's where the tissues for me. Lisa, thank you so much for being on the show today. I hope you had fun.
I did.
I hope you got something out of this experience, and hopefully anybody listening took a lot out of it, because I took a lot out of it. I mean, you're a very delightful and very beautiful woman. I mean that in all sense of the word. And I think you got a great head on your shoulders, and I feel like your kids have somebody really awesome and great to look up to and to look forward to.
Thank you.
And that's very important. I challenge other moms to live up to your legacy, right? Even if that even if they don't necessarily, there's something important about, like, even if they don't agree with the Jesus thing, there's something very important about that, because it helped to administer to your life something wonderful, and you cannot deny that whatsoever. Faith is very important.
There's no denying. I mean, I can't have a conversation without that, because that's who I am as a person. There's just no denying it. And my kids will tell you. You can interview all of them, and they'll all tell you that there was a major change in me.
As she looks over, peers over to her son. Andrew's your oldest, right?
He is my oldest. He's my first baby. He was a preemie.
Baby.
He was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Because he was a cesarean, so he didn't have that pointy head. He was so perfect when he came out.
Exquisite. Thank you so much for being here. You are so delightful. I'm so glad I got you on the show. And no, we weren't desperate. I think you're awesome. I think you're cool.
I'm awesome. Yay.
I was one of his friends that had a crush on you back in high school. No, okay. Do you have any social media you would want to plug in? Or you want to plug in your doing the teaching thing? I mean, go ahead.
Well, I mean,
if you have anything, or you want to plug in your church?
Just my church. I mean, Liberty Church. And right now, I didn't say this, but right now I'm actually started a group for moms.
Okay. What kind of group?
It is a group of moms on praying for our children and just learning how to hear God's voice for our kids. Because I have dreams. I get pictures at times and, just some crazy things that have happened that God really, really talks to me about my kids. And so it's been a fascinating journey the last few years. Learning how to hear his voice. And so that's what my group is about. It's literally about moms learning how to hear God's voice for your kids.
Great.
Fascinating.
Sweet.
How much better can you get than that?
Lisa, God bless you. Thanks for being on here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mitchell. Good job. Now, who's going to interview you? I mean, literally, I know we're not on anymore. Are you?
No, we're still on. I got to close it up, but it's cool. Matt, don't cut this out. This is funny. Yeah, Jay Leno is going to interview me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes.
That's it. The big chin guy is doing it. Thank you again. You're wonderful.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching listening to another episode of the Wrestling Diaries, where manhood or struggle, I said manhood, struggle is manhood, womanhood, some kind of hood. Right. It's important. And my guest on today is a very passionate, very loving mother and wife and just woman in this world. And she has a very infectious energy, and hopefully people get infected by it, right? If you're going to get infected by anything, get infected by her love and energy and her direction. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Listen to us. Show us some love. Tell everybody about us. Support us. If you believe in what we're doing, where you're connecting people in the community, which is very important. A community, a body of people is very, 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 very important. It is. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to make bridges here. We're connecting people through this medium. If you want to see the video content, also check us out on YouTube. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell for more content. Tell me, what do you wrestle with? And how can you beat it? One love.